very quickly, I wanted to talk about kind of a downer for just a second. And knowing all of you pay attention to this stuff, and I know some of you care somewhat, but all of you are aware, big time, of all the musicians in the last couple of years that we've lost. And the other day we lost the wonderful Nina Simone, amazing, amazing jazz singer, and all of you have heard her before. And she's gone now, and that's too bad. A few months ago we lost the bass player of The Who, not so good. We just lost Joe Strummer of The Clash. That hit me like a Buick in the face. I don't know how many of you are Clash fans, but all of you know who The Clash is, and all of you know what Joe Strummer looks like, you know what he sounds like, and for some of you, The Clash means something to you. For me, it was a life-changing experience seeing those guys and listening to those records. And so what makes it worse is we lost even more. We lost Lane Staley of Alice in Chains, one of the great bands, and a guy who had such a stronghold, such a trademark-sounding voice. He is the king of, yeah, that's his. It belongs to him. It's like copyright trademark Lane Staley, and it's good when he does it. When Lane does that, yeah, you get chills. He's singing from the other side, some kind of icy cold, horrible rage comes from that guy, and that's why we bought the records, because he's such great songs, such amazing lyrics, such interesting vocals. But when someone else does it, like when the Creed or Nickelback bitch does it, it just offends. And you just want to say, come to daddy and get your beating. I know you feel the same way, but so hard to take. But was of all of the rock and roll deaths, for me, the hardest was to take losing half of the Ramones in the last 2.5 years or so. And the last time I was here, Joey Ramone had just passed away. And I don't know anyone who hates the Ramones. I know people who like, oh, I've heard them, I don't really like them. But I've never heard anyone say, fuck it, the Ramones suck, I hate them. I've never heard anyone say that. I don't think they really make that, come out of anybody. But most people I know who ever heard the Ramones kind of love the Ramones. I mean, I love the Ramones. And so when Joey Ramone died, that really destabilized me. And even when the Ramones broke up, that was hard for me. I was in some hotel room somewhere years ago, and I heard the news, the Ramones have called it quits. It's like, the Ramones have broken up? They're not going to tour anymore? Are they serving breakfast tomorrow? Will the sun come up again? Will Ultraman rise again? Because about half of my adult life, the Ramones have been part of it. And the idea that, they're not going to be playing somewhere in the world, I was kind of like, something's changed. My liver is gone. And so when Joey died, I was like, wow, Joey Ramone gone. Really wonderful guy, amazing vocalist, incredible looking guy. And then several weeks ago, we lost Dee Dee Ramone, the bass player of the Ramones. And if you look at your Ramones records, because I know you got them, if you look at the early records, Dee Dee is the primary songwriter in that band. And obviously, you don't have all the Ramones, you don't have that sound if you don't have every member of the band. But as far as like the songwriting nucleus, it was Dee Dee. And he died, and it was really sad. He had a mishap with some heroin and ended up dead on his couch, and a really sad day. And so I don't know what any of that means to you, but to me, the Ramones were one of those bands who kind of altered the way my life was going. And about 1850, when I was a young man, it was a time much different than it is now. If you were young, you didn't really go to clubs, because clubs were just cover bands playing songs you didn't care about at half the tempo, to be in front of like 13 bikers who were drinking flat beer out of pitchers. You would walk by a club on your way somewhere and hear like them doing walk this way, and you'd stick your head in the door, and there's like guys on stage looking at their shoes playing some FM rock with like 8 people in the room, and it was just like a turnoff. So you never went to the clubs. If you wanted to see music, you would actually go to the actual arena and see the real thing. And that's what you could go see as a little kid, or a young teenager type. And so that's how we saw our first music. We would get in some mother's station wagon and be driven out to the suburbs out of Washington, D.C., where I come from, out to Maryland, to a place called the Capitol Center, which is now, it's been leveled. But in those days, it was the 18,000-seater within 20 miles of us. And in that building, we saw Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and Van Halen and Ted Nugent. And your experience of going to a concert was being like a mile and a half away from the stage. And you'd walk in and you'd see this little tiny thing. Like, is that the stage? I guess so. What's that smell? Oh my God, it's marijuana. Are we gonna be okay? And so Aerosmith would come on and you're like, is that them? I see little strings coming off his mic stand. I guess it's them. And all you would hear like, wah, 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 wah. You couldn't really hear the band at all. Were they good? Did they suck? You didn't know. Because it was like a band playing in a concrete dungeon, so the sound is ricocheted around. And so you would leave smelling of vomit, beer, and arena weed with this like howling white noise in your ears that would last for like 4 days. And you'd go back to school the next day and lie your ass off. Did you see the show? Yeah. So how was it? Shit, we just got out of their limo like 40 minutes ago. We partied all night with Aerosmith. You did? Yeah. Steve Tyler gave me one of his scarves. No way, way. And you know, like you didn't know whether the show was good or not, but you wanted to get as much bang out of your buck, because a $12 ticket, you really wanted to get all you could out of it. And so you were never really got the full concert experience. And even when I saw Led Zeppelin, which was pretty fucking cool, they opened with Kashmir. And we all just kind of stood there like, but it was still, you know, you have to look through binoculars to see them. And we would actually bring binoculars to these shows and pass them between us like those three witches with the communal eyeball. Like, you know, hurry up, shut up. Hurry! And that's how you saw shows. So you'd walk out of there not really feeling anything. And you'd walk down the hallways of your school with every jock, you know, punching your lights out. Come here, you fucking pussy. Ow! You try and sing these songs that you hear on the radio to give you strength. So guys are thumping you. You knew you were never, ever going to get laid. And you're walking down the hallway like, Dreamweaver. Come here, you pussy. Ow! Everybody was kung fu fighting. I want you to show me the way. Don't hit me! And so none of these songs mattered. They meant fuck all. And then punk rock happened, and all of a sudden you're encountering bands like when Joe Strummer says, when I get aggression, I give it 2 times back. You're like, did someone just say that in a song? Is that now allowed? Holy fuck. You go back to school the next day, the jock looks at you, like, come here, you pussy. Like, wait a minute. When I get aggression, I give it 2 times back. Wow, I'm going to punch out a guy who outweighs me by 80 pounds. And love it! Yeah! Thanks, Joe Strummer. And that's what those bands did for me. And so, a long time ago, they gave me a license to breathe. And so we all, you know, found out about the Ramones, and I saw that first Ramones album cover, and I see these 4 guys standing there like these 4 idiots. I mean, you've seen that cover. You see Dee Dee Ramone standing on the far right side of the cover with his hands actually curled, like he's Cro-Magnon man. He's like, what, is that a pose? Are you trying to look stupid? No, that's Dee Dee just hanging out. And you see that, you know, Joey's just like, and they all have high water pants on and these fucked up haircuts. You're like, are you kidding me? You flip over the album, now I want to sniff some glue. I don't want to go down to the basement. These are songs? Yeah. And so we all, you know, joined the cult of the Ramones. And it was even hard to find the records at first. You'd go to the record store and go, I want a Ramones record. And the lady would say, there's no such thing as a band called the Ramones. My friend has the record, and they have a song called I Don't Want to Go Down to the Basement, where the guy says, hey, Daddy-O, I don't want to go down to the basement because there's something down there, and I don't want to go to the basement either, so I need to have this record. Can I have it? There's no such thing as the Ramones. Here, buy this ELO record. All right, thank you. And you bought the Stevie Nicks album again and again. Jean-Michel Jarre, okay, it'll be great. And so you bought all this kind of crap that you didn't care about. And then finally, we all got our Ramones records, and then magically the Ramones showed up to play in our town. And they played about 8 miles away from Washington, D.C. in a town called Falls Church, Virginia. It's right over the Washington, D.C. line. So all of us bought our tickets for like $5.50, and we go barreling into Louis Rock City, this club about the size of your living room, to go watch the Ramones play. And so we all run in there, we have our tickets, we go barreling into the club, and we're all like 3 rows from the front of the stage, which is about this high, and there's an opening band playing, some local DC band kind of chugging through normal bar rock, and we're just kind of waiting for the Ramones, and the promoter has looked out in the parking lot and seen about 500 more people who don't have tickets. And they're going, who has tickets? And he goes, I have tickets, come here. Stamps everyone's hands, take their money, lubes them up, shoves them into the club. And so every 4 songs of the opening band, every 2 songs, another 50 to 100 people get crammed into this place. And the air is getting hotter and more moist, and it's smelling like ass and armpit. And all of you now have survived about 60 or 70 of those shows where by the time the lead band goes on, you realize it's going to be one of those simmering, hellish nights that you are barely going to be able to survive. And all of you have been through like many of those at this point. This was my first time. I had no idea what I was in for. So I'm standing there and more people are coming in. Every song, more people are being shoved into the club. And I'm getting, more and more pushed up front, pushed up front, pushed up front. Finally, my face is in a man's mullet. One of those real mullets, like, grown for years, a mullet, in years in the making. And so I'm kind of breathing on this man's neck, and big fella turns around and goes, "Cut the shit." And you know me, total Boy Scout. "Well, sir, there's nowhere else for me to go. I'm sorry for my close proximity." "Cut the shit or I'll kick your ass." "Right, of course. Well, I'll just breathe on myself, and I'll watch the Ramones by staring at the ground. And I'll just stand here, and this will be my little spot." Because, your personal space is like getting invaded upon by people getting shoved in. And so like one more song goes by, and all of a sudden I feel something lightly kind of graze the upper ridge of my young, supple ass cheeks. Something is delicately probing my ass crack area. Now, your ass is able to read items by just rubbing itself on them. Like, we could line up a few items on a flat surface. You could go like, orange, car keys, ancient Rome, man's package. And that's what was grinding into my ass. So this man's package is grinding into my ass crack because he was getting shoved into me. And so when a man's package gets kind of shoved into your ass crack and you're not really ready for that, it's not really why I went to go see the Ramones. And so my natural reaction was like, "Whoa, hey!" And I went right into Mullet Man's ass crack. And not subtly either. I went like right for it, like bam, "Hey, how you doing?" And what's intense is how well those two parts fit together. It's like meant to be. And so I'm like, wham, I'm right in there. And my natural reaction is like, "Whoa!" And I get away from him by moving my ass backwards at like 80 miles an hour. And I go right into the package of the man behind me. And he's like, "Ah!" And he gets away from my ass by moving backwards, and he slams his ass into the package of the man behind him. And this is body language, is it not? And so when you go slamming your ass into a man's package, you're basically saying, "Hi, my name's Henry, and I'm into long walks in the park. I'm an Aquarian, so I'm kind of crazy. What's your name?" And so the guy's like, "Ah!" And so within 2 songs, the entire front row, the first 5 rows, are these bellowing men having this denim-clad menage a trois. We're like, "Ah, ooh, ooh, ooh." The opening band thinks it's something they're doing. So they're like, "Check it out, we're rocking tonight." It's like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh." So it's a bunch of guys getting to know each other. It's no big deal. And so finally, it's time for the band to be done, and then there's like half an hour while the Ramones road crew comes out and sets up the stage, and we're all standing there. You can barely breathe. Like, and then you realize, the ass armpit cloud is you. It's your sweat. It's gonna be one of those nights, I guess. I'm not gonna be able to breathe, but that's okay. The Ramones are gonna be here, and I'm gonna have a great time in the Mullet Man, and everything is just great. And the Ramones walk on stage. Now, you have to remember that I am, at this point, a veteran of a handful of arena rock shows. So for me, the rock star experience is seeing them from like a mile away. All of a sudden, I am standing there, and Dee Dee Ramone, I was standing right about there. Dee Dee Ramone walks right there and plugs his bass in. I couldn't exactly reach over and touch his foot, but I was close enough to where if I just said, "Hey, Dee Dee," he would have heard me. And so I cannot believe I'm this close to a Ramone. I'm like, holy fuck, it's Dee Dee Ramone. And I'm like, I was starstruck. I admit it. I was floored. Like, whoa, fucking, they're here. I'm really gonna see the Ramones. I couldn't believe it. Johnny Ramone walks out with that great bowl haircut gone oh so wrong. It's like they put a bowl on his head, but the bowl slipped and they just cut away. So he's got this hair cave with a nose coming out. You know, you've seen him. The look is amazing. And he plugs in his guitar. I'm like, holy shit, that's Johnny Ramone. Yeah. And then Joey walks out, and it was amazing. Joey Ramone, like 6'9", 80 pounds, dripping wet. His upper legs are like this. He's like kindling. He's got no bones in his body. His bones are like Oscar Mayer wieners. He's like made out of rubber. He's like an amphibious creature in jeans and a leather jacket. He's got like his dyed black hair, those Coke bottle purple glasses on. He looks just like he does on the cover of the record. He comes walking out, and everyone's like, whoa. And he has the weirdest skin on his face. It's like this lunar landscape rubber, so where you kind of want to pull it back, like what a weird looking guy. He better be a singer in a band. And he walks out there and he kind of grabs the mic and he's like, you know, and everyone's like, was he the Elephant Man? He's like, just moved really weird. And we're used to bands coming out on stage and doing like the 5 minutes about how much they love us and they want to know if there's any ladies in the house tonight who want to rock and roll or whatever. Like, hello, Largo, Maryland. We're waiting for that with the Ramones. You don't get that shit with the Ramones. All you get with the Ramones is why you showed up to see the band. They're only there to give you the music. And so Joey Ramone walks out there and goes, good evening, we're the Ramones. Take it, Dee Dee. What did they for? I've never recovered. I have never recovered from that. And when Dee Dee counts in, the Ramones land on you with like robotic, idiot, savant perfection. There's not a beat or a note out of place. It's like someone goes, and the gig is on. It is an assault on your senses. There is no break between songs. There is no tuning up. They do not take their leather jackets off. They do not drink water. They don't say, hey, how you doing? They just go, gimme, shock treatment. What did they for? Bam, 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 bam. 10 songs in, you want to die. You've had all the Ramones you can stand. You cannot breathe. You have no more moisture left in your body. Your bladder has been emptied as your body searches. It's now drinking its own urine. It's like, oh, thank God. I am watching Dee Dee Ramone sweat off his nose like a faucet onto his bass. I want nothing more than to go, can I think it what? It was that intense. And it's like song after song. And you can't even raise your arms to go like, Gabba, gabba, we accept you, wanna. You're like, help me, help. I'm dying, I am dying. 20 songs into the set, you have left your body. You are now floating inside the ass armpit aerosol cloud over the audience. You're like, I'm on the other side now. It's not so bad being dead. At least for me, the pain of humanity in a Ramones gig is over. And finally, after 50 songs, they go, thank you, good night. And they walk off stage, and no one applauded. No one had the strength. Everyone kind of went, ah. And everyone kind of passed out or had a little power nap on the shoulder of the person next to them. And then the Ramones come back out for the encore. And I felt so bad thinking what I was thinking at that time. I was thinking, do two songs and be done. Let me out of here. Easily my favorite band at the time, but enough was enough. It was like inhuman. I'm like, okay, I want to go. And they did about another album for the encore. It's like song after song, and it was amazing. And finally, the set was probably all of 65 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And they said, thank you, good night. And they walked off stage. No one could leave. No one could separate themselves from the person around them. We had glued ourselves together with sweat. And so there I am. Could someone pull me away, please? And burly men had to come delaminate us we're Velcroed. We were thrown out into the night, and we sailed through the air like an old used up Christmas tree, and we landed gently on the ground. We had no body weight. We were like leaves falling off a tree. And there we were, scattered like punk rock tortilla chips, flat and useless, dry, and flat to the ground all around Ian MacKay's car, and we're like taking shallow breaths, looking up at the night sky. Need liquid. Don't want to die. Please give me liquid. And I think it was my friend Mark who had enough strength to go to the convenience store and get a 1-liter bottle of Coca-Cola, which he fed to us, capful by capful, for like an hour. And then after about an hour, we had the strength to get up and get in Ian's car and drive it like 5 miles an hour, wounded back to Washington, D.C. And I think that night, all over the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, little apartment windows and house windows were open, and Steve Miller albums flew out into the street, because you knew that you were never gonna visit those records again. Like, Fly Like an Eagle meant fuck all now. And you remember that age. Someone asked you, what are you gonna do with the rest of your life? That is the most impossible question to answer at that age. Even though you wanna be an astronaut, you wanna be this, you wanna be that. Someone goes, what do you do with the rest of your life? You're like, fuck, that's a good question. I have no idea. After seeing that show, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I kind of had an idea that I was not gonna end up remotely like my parents. I came out of that going, let's see, a banker? No. Insurance agent? No. I'm not putting those jobs down. I'm just saying after that show, I kind of went, well, if I was going this way, now that I've seen the Ramones, and everyone in that car that was at that show that drove home in Ian's car, every single one of those people was in a band within a year. And some of those people are still playing music. And some of the people in that car are people that a lot of people in this room have bought records of. And so that was a pretty decisive fucking moment. And so when you lose people like Dee Dee and Joey Ramone, I don't know about you, for me it was really hard. I felt like someone had taken some of my best friends away. And I can't really call these people friends. I met them once or twice, shook the hand, and that was about it. But, I felt very close to these people. And what was, kind of on a corny tangent of this, you throw out all these records because now you've seen the new shit and all the stuff you liked the day before now sucks. And then years later, when you become a little older and a little less judgmental before your mean 40 phase kicks in, you see that all that music you liked a long time ago was really fucking good. And you skulk into record stores to attempt to buy your past back on CD. That's what I did. I got some money. I go walking in, trench coat, the glasses with the rubber nose and the mustache, and I take this stack of CDs of stuff that I really like to listen to, but I threw out because it was too lame to listen to, and I shove it up, and the guy pulls the fake nose off me and goes, "Wow, you're Henry Rollins." And a few people in the record store turn around, "Henry Rollins? Oh my God, look at him. He's so short. Check it out. Fuck, he's so great. This guy want to hug him. Look at him. He's like, you put him in your pocket." And so the guy has to start broadcasting every CD I bought. "Wow, I can't believe you like Boston. Would you just shut the fuck up and put it in a bag? Toto? Shh. Chicago 1, Chicago 2, Chicago 3, Chicago 4. Chicago 4? No one buys Chicago 4. You buy Chicago 4, you get a free case of herpes. Ha 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 ha. Just put it in a bag. Captain and Tennille. Shh, shh. Yes, I love all this shit. Fuck you, okay?" So anyway, yes, that happened. Thanks.